Hey, Diana, did you know Google's obsolete?
Mark, that's the dumbest thing you've ever said.
Ladies and gentlemen, jurists and just curious, welcome to the Successful Barrister podcast. Here you'll learn about marketing, management, and life skills for lawyers that probably won't get you disbarred. Hosted by Marc Whitehead, a seasoned lawyer who remembers when fax machines were cutting edge, and Diana Berry, attorney, COO, and the brains behind the scenes. Together, they are the legal world's most dynamic duo since statutes met regulations. So if you're looking to build a practice, not a prison, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Successful Barrister, where legal legends are made.
And welcome to the Successful Barrister podcast, a podcast for lawyers and law firm leaders about marketing, management, and life skills that probably won't get you disbarred. I am your host, Marc Whitehead, alongside my host, my co-host, my number one, my COO, Diana Berry. Hey, Diana, what's up?
Not much. How are you doing, Mark?
Well, we have survived Snowmageddon here in Houston, Texas.
Fern?
Huh?
Fern?
Fern? What's Fern?
Never mind.
Well, I don't know. I missed the reference there. Anyway, so this weekend, we were told by the weathermen that the sky is falling and to don't leave our house because it was going to freeze and we were all going to die. And it was just a big nothing burger. I could have played golf in shorts this weekend, but
I could not, but I'm glad that everyone was safe. I'm sure that being a meteorologist is very tough, and I'm glad that they erred on the side of caution.
They're just a bunch of pretty people who are overpaid, is my opinion. But you know, what can you say? So, what are we going to talk about today? I thought our Hey Diana was a little provocative, so
I came up with that one.
I know you did.
Because you gave me an outline, and honestly, even after reading the outline, and this is going to be an interesting podcast, listeners, because, it's all in English, which is, I guess, a good thing, but I still don't understand what we're talking about today. I had to do my own research, listen to a couple 1.5 podcasts in preparation for this
So you're
podcast.
an expert. You know more than most people.
Well, the outline is I'm confused where we're going. So this is going to be an exciting, eye-opening podcast for me as well.
So let's first lay the groundwork. We are splitting this topic up into two podcasts because I looked at it. My marketing director looked at it. We agreed that it was too much material for one podcast, but yet both sides of the conversation were equally important. So we're like, well, let's just split it up into two. So today is part one on the topic AI search has changed the rules, what law firms need to understand. And then our second part is a slight variation. I should get my notes in front of me. Our second part to this two-part episode is how law firms get referenced by AI without chasing the shiny objects. So we're going to split this podcast today up into two parts just to make it a little bit more manageable. You know, we want to try to keep this in your drive time or, you know, within your cardio workout or whatever you do to waste time when you're listening to your podcast. And at the end, we have an offer that we're going to make. We've created a new tool. We've created an AI optimization checklist for law firm owners. And I guess I should explain the premise of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, what are we talking about today,
really,
Mark? Let's start there before we get into the free offer.
The problem is that your standard Google search for, you know, lawyer near me, disability lawyer near me, personal injury lawyer near me, whatever, is changing. And the AI search results are now popping up to the top. You know, put into Google, best 3 disability lawyers near me. Before you get to the 3-pack, before you get to anything, you will get an AI overview. And the AI overview will list what it views to be the top 3 in our world disability law firms near me. And that's a scary prospect. We have spent the last 20 years, 20 years building our websites basically built for Google search. You know, our SEO optimization is all about getting to the top of Google, getting found in Google. And this for us is where we get, you know, roughly half of our business. And all of a sudden the world is changing and AI has taken over. And people are now getting their search results through the Chat GTP, the Geminis, the Claudes, the what's Microsoft's product again? I can't remember.
Copilot?
Copilot. As a matter of fact, Apple has just signed an agreement with Gemini for their Safari search engine. So, people searching on their iPhones are going to get Gemini search results when they do this. They're going to get Gemini AI overviews. So how is it that we all of a sudden now we have to change what we're doing, what we've been doing the last 20 years, try to get to the top of Google search. Now we have to get on top of AI search, and that is a scary new world. So that's what we're going to talk about.
And that's what you call GEO.
That's a technical term. I call it AI search.
According to the podcast I listen to, those are two very different things.
Well,
but we're not going to do that here.
Tell me how you.
Guys,
again,
we really do prepare for this podcast.
No, we don't. We don't prepare anything. So.
But you're talking about very technically GEO today, I hope, because that's what I'm prepared to discuss, and that's what.
And GEO stands for. Oh, I nailed you. You looked.
No, I know, but do you know? This is your podcast outline.
I don't know what GEO. That's not
You're
the
just
term
sitting around and going around talking to team members. GEO this, GEO that, and you don't know what it stands for.
I really don't know what it means.
You just like to look cool.
Yeah.
In front of the team.
I know.
All right.
What's it mean?
Generative engine optimization, I believe. Because what you're really talking about, so the podcast that I was listening to, guys, and I really wish I could reference it. So there's two ways. So there's the AI overview and the way that Google's and the AI summarization, right? But then like the generative engine optimization, which I hope we're talking about today, because those are some talking points that I have.
Well, I call it generative AI optimization. I think these are all
It's very broadly two sides of the same coin, I'm
Right.
sure. But really, I thought you were talking today, Mark, about getting cited by ChatGPT. So
yes, absolutely. That's what we're talking about.
Right. So if I'm in a hit and run or whatever here in Houston, Texas, and I'm going to go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I just got into in a car accident here in Houston, Texas. It was a hit and run. Which lawyer should I refer to? Or my driver's license is expired. Is this my fault? And, if you had a blog about that on your website, does your driver's license make you as culpable, guilty, whatever, in a car accident? That would be you could get referenced by ChatGPT, and then the likelihood of that person calling you. I thought that's what we were talking about today, getting cited by the ChatGPTs of the world.
Well, we are. So there's two different ways to get there. Now, there's what you've described, which is going directly to the AI search engine, okay? And then there's the way I was referencing it, which is the more, in my mind, the scarier thing is people doing what you want them to do or what you've historically wanted them to do, which is to go to Google search like they would normally search anything. And you would hopefully get, up in the top 3 pack, and your LSAs would show up and all this fun stuff, which we've all been trained to do for all these years. And all of a sudden, the very first thing they see is a generative AI result, an AI overview that pops up before any of that, which then sits in the list. Well, here are the top 3 disabilities in firm, Marc Whitehead and Victor McCrease. Hey, I'm giving a shout out to my chief competitor, Victor McCrease, good friend of mine, by the way. So you can get there one of 2 ways, the way you've described it, the way I've described it. I'm talking generally about all of it because in the end, how you get to the top, how you get AI search engines to the LLMs to think about you. That's a strategy in and of itself. That is a marketing strategy that lawyers have to now start to adopt. And the real issue, the way I've understood it, is that, the old game, which was to look at keywords and backlinks and things like that get you ranking. Now the new model is how AI synthesizes answers that it finds on the internet. And it pulls from multiple third-party sources, which is different from the way a traditional search engine like Google would work. Google looks at first-party data. They look at you. Whereas the AI search is looking at these third-party places, like Super Lawyers or Yelp or all of these places that you really don't have as much control over as you do your own content. And that's where this shit gets scary, because we have fought for decades to get control over our content, and now we've lost total control.
You've lost control over the rankings, or at least being able to be cited by at least the chat GPTs of the world. I do think that, the AI overviews do a great job of, at least citing two direct sources on your website.
So we've kind of come up with some material and some strategy, and I have to give credit. I'm going to give credit to two sources here. Number one, Chris Dreyer, who runs the podcast, the Personal Injury Mastermind. I want to specifically quote episode 382, which I thought was an excellent soup to nuts overview of things to do to get, the chat GTPs of the world and the Geminis of the world to notice you. It's a really excellent episode, so I commend that to you. The second would be my good buddy, Nalini Prasad.
I love Nalini.
Nalini is pregnant again.
Oh, congratulations, Nalini.
I saw her in Orlando, and she goes, Mark, I'm pregnant again.
Okay, I'm going to say, if she's really going to be unhappy if you just,
No. She's 6.5
very
months.
vocal.
She's very vocal about it. She was on stage showing her belly, and then, this is the thing. So she's very happy. So great for her. Anyway, so she gave a presentation in Orlando on the exact same topic. So basically, I took really good notes, and I've kind of synthesized Chris Dreyer's podcast with Nalini's. I can't talk today. What is up? Nalini's. I've known Nalini forever. It's not like I don't know her name. With her presentation. And with that, I've come up with my own checklist of things that we need to be thinking about to get on top of the AI problem, as I call it, the AI problem, or the AI opportunity. It depends on how you look at it. So with that, when we come back, we're going to go over some lessons that I have pulled out from Nalini and Chris Dreyer.
This podcast is sponsored by Marc Whitehead Associates, a national disability benefits law firm. Marc Whitehead runs a firm of over 60 dedicated people whose mission is to make a difference in the lives of our injured and disabled clients. Marc represents disabled claimants in Social Security disability, private disability insurance, and veterans disability claims in all 50 states. Marc Whitehead is double board certified in both Social Security disability law and personal injury trial law. Marc has litigated disability cases in over 40 states and counting, and can help your clients too. Stop throwing your phone calls away. Call Marc Whitehead at 701-VIP-LEAD. That's 701-VIP-LEAD. Or visit our website at disabilitydenials.com. Referral fees are paid in all jurisdictions where it is permitted. Refer us your disability cases today and know that your clients will be in good hands.
Diana, you and I discussed in a little break here. We kind of have not a difference of opinion, but a different way of looking at the problem. I'm kind of looking at it from the sense that I need to look great everywhere. And I think you kind of expressed it's still about first party data. So tell me, give me your side of this, and I'll give you my counterpoint.
I'm not even sure what we're talking about right now, Mark.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Okay. So I am of the opinion that we've been trying to promote ourselves and our own content forever. So I think we've kind of got that down. What we have disdainfully dismissed over the years is dealing with third-party platforms, because we always thought they were just ripoffs. They were a waste of money. They were basically just taking advantage of lawyers who didn't know anything about how things work. So I personally, this law firm has kind of ignored the third-party platforms, like the super lawyers, the best lawyers, Yelps, and things like that. We just blown them off, thought they were dumb. All of a sudden, they've raised their ugly head again in the world of the LLMs. That would be my point, that where I see the biggest hole in our efforts in getting to the top of getting to the top of ChatGTP and so forth. That would be my point. I think what you were saying in the break was you still think it's more about your first party data.
Well, I think it depends on how you're using AI again. So I think that, for example, the other day when my washing machine broke and it was throwing an error code, I just typed in LG washer and then the error code, and the AI overview told me what the error was or what my problem was with my washing machine. And if I clicked on the little link next to it, it took me to some person's website. And that's first party data again, right? Somebody took
Cited
the time.
the source. It basically cited a direct
Somebody
source.
took the time to create a blog and said, hey, if you have this error code, you can, fix it this way, but I really wouldn't touch it unless you were a professional like me. But then if I went to ChatGPT and said, hey, chat, I got this LG washer. It's, I don't know, it was secondhand from my sister and it's now throwing an error code. Who do you think that I should call to fix it? I live in blank zip code. To get cited there, to get cited in a ChatGPT is where the third party best lawyers or washing machine repairman equivalent thereof would be important. And I think that those are two very viable strategies that we're going to hopefully talk about today in your best practices.
This is why I hire you, because you're brilliant and you basically laid out a very complicated scenario in a very easy way to understand,
Well,
which
thank you,
I
Mark.
could not possibly get out of my lips. All right, so let me see if I can repeat what you said. For the way I look at it, to get specific information, more technical information, that is more in line with what AI would generally pull from first-party data. Say if I had a page on my site that said, "Are Social Security disability are Social Security benefits taxable?" and I had a page describing the taxability of Social Security under the IRS regulations, that is likely something that AI would pop up and cite to. However, if I ask who's the best lawyer around to help me with this problem, in other words, I'm asking for a popularity contest. When it comes to a popularity contest, now AI is starting to look at third-party data, not first-party data. I think that's what you just said in your most eloquent way, and that's the way that's how I look at it.
And that's one of the strategies for generative, I think.
Exactly.
GEO, generative. I think it's generative. We should have
It
looked
is
that up on the
generative.
break.
We all know what I'm talking about.
And that type of strategy, yes. And I do think that, there are different ways that you could optimize your content, even if you're trying to get into the AI overview. And I don't know where we are in part 1 or part 2 of our outline, Mark.
We're in part 7.
Okay, perfect. So I'm glad that I am ahead of the game. But, I still think that there's a place for optimizing your first party data. And one of the things that I know you've heard me harp on over the last year was making sure that our website has asks the questions on our blog in a way that our clients are asking the questions. We talk all about the wait times and, the news sources, like there was a recent Washington Post article about, the increased wait times at SSA and what's going on politically and how it's all affected. And sure, we talk about that. But the real question that people are asking when they type, and our clients are asking, why is my application for Social Security disability taking so long? And if you want to be cited in that AI overview, that is a very different way that you format your first party content, your blog.
Right.
They're talking about, you throw around the word schema so much that I had to actually Google it because I was convinced you made up that word and you just were maybe
I did make it up.
and then you were maybe mispronouncing it or something. No, if it's a made up word, I guess you can't mispronounce your own made up word.
You can't mispronounce your own made up word.
But I do think that according
Schema
to
is a very common terminology used in the SEO world. So there.
Exactly. So there's very important schema to make sure that the AI is paying attention to your content and make sure that it's formatted correctly, even so that AI understands in its ones and zeros and can synthesize it. But I think that in the same way with generative, like you wanted to talk about, for example, why super lawyers is now an actual semi-legitimate.
Yes.
Well, if you're a robot,
semi-legitimate. I've criticized super lawyers for years. Thought it was stupid for years. Although I am in super lawyers, But I've always thought these popularity contests, especially the companies who make money off of the fake popularity contests with lawyers, were just always dumb. But all of a sudden, they're not dumb anymore. You have to do it because that's the popularity contest out there.
That AI is looking for.
AI is looking for.
In order to what, Mark? What is AI looking for on these super lawyers, on these Yelps, and these other websites that you mentioned?
That's a good question. So obviously, I think you need to be found in as many places as possible. Super lawyers is one, best lawyers, Justia, Yelp, Avo. There are probably others that I'm not thinking of, but will be in my checklist, by the way. The free checklist. Wait till the end, and I'll make the offer. Those are the popularity contest type sites. So it kind of brings back to just putting a fine point on something we're beating a dead horse on, which is there's at least two ways I can think of. There's probably more, but at least two main ways that people go to some sort of search engine. Number one is to ask a very specific technical question. And number two, it's to find the person that can solve their problem. So the person that can solve the problem, that's the popularity contest. That's, and the person that can answer a technical question, that's more the first party data. So, that's kind of how I think we have to think about it. We have to do both. You can't just do one or the other.
Yep.
You got to do both.
Coin.
You got to do both. You got to be omnipresent across all of these platforms in whatever way the consumer wants to consume their information, because the consumer always rules.
Yep. And so I don't think it's enough, according to, I was reading some of your notes from Nalini, and according to what I think I saw was that it's not enough just to be listed on some of these websites, but that you want to make sure that all of your profiles are complete.
Yes.
That you have reviews, or maybe even like on Avo, that you participate in some of those Q&A things that are out there. In Yelp, you want to see if your clients can check in on whenever they come to your office, and those different types that you want to show participation and completion of your profile on all of these websites, not just a listing.
All right, we took a small break because Mark was having a spasm, but
a hip spasm?
A hip spasm of all things. The hip replacement is coming soon. You and I are going to have to switch offices. So,
well,
yeah,
we can talk about it.
So Diana has the downstairs office. I have the upstairs office, and there's no elevator in our building. So we all acknowledge that at some point in my old age and decrepitness, we're going to have to switch offices.
But my walking pad's coming upstairs, and I get to use it whenever I want.
I will put on.
Please and thank you.
I will put on some headphones. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, so I wanted to get to one of Nalini's key concepts. This is that AI is not guessing; it's pattern matching. And that's good for us because that means there's certain patterns that we should be able to recognize and then adapt to those patterns. In consistency matters a lot throughout the internet, particularly the way AI looks at it. She was saying, it may sound ridiculous, but your firm name needs to be the same everywhere. I have a complicated firm name, Marc Whitehead and Associates, Attorneys at Law, LLP, LP. That's actually technically our firm's actual name. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean I have to use that across the internet. But whatever I choose to use across the internet, it needs to be consistent. Our attorney profiles need to be consistent. I just rewrote my bio to be AI friendly for our website. But now that same AI bio needs to be uploaded into Super Lawyers and Best Lawyers and Yelp, and that bio needs to be consistent across, across all the platforms. Your practice descriptions need to be consistent across all platforms. What do you do? This is always a weird one. Super Lawyers list me not as a disability lawyer, but as an employee benefits lawyer, which is totally against everything we do marketing-wise. We don't say that. So, these are kind of interesting little things that we're now having to deal with that I never really thought about in the past. But just being a consistent presence across all of these things. Getting mentioned, even in things that, aren't links. We always just try to get mentioned in publications and get links back. AI doesn't care about the links. At least to my knowledge, I don't understand. As long as it's a publication that is out in the world, on the internet somewhere that can be found, AI will find it. So this is why I'm going back on Houston Live television show because they put out a press release on every show, and I get to be mentioned. So, yay me.
That's awesome, and that's a great mention, Mark.
I know. See, I'm just tooting my own horn at this point. So anyway, I think the big takeaway that we're trying to get here is you need to rethink how you do your marketing. It's not just enough to hire an SEO company to try to get you in the 3-pack, to try to get you at the top of Google listings, because the importance of that is starting to sink. Not that it's not important, but it's not what it used to be. So the question really is, and I don't know the answer to this question, do your SEO efforts still help you in the AI rankings? I'm going to call them the AI rankings. I bet they sort of do. I just feel that somehow AI is trying to mimic the Google algorithm. Now, especially Gemini. Gemini is owned by Google, which is a whole nother interesting topic out there. A lot of what was discussed at the AI Expo was somebody's got to win and somebody's going to lose. So you have all of these major AI players out there. You have Gemini, you have ChatGPT, you have Claude, Copilot, Grok. Is it called Grok?
I'm not aware of that one.
That's Elon Musk's one.
Oh.
Remember, he had a data breach the other day. You didn't hear about the Grok data breach?
I did not.
Where have you been?
No, clearly under a rock.
Yes, shocking that Elon would have a data breach. Okay, but anyway, they're not all going to survive. Who's going to win? And the rest of them are probably going to either go out of business or get subsumed, bought out. Somebody's going to win. I'm betting on Gemini winning. I think Google just doesn't lose. They're too big. They're too big. They have too many resources. I bet that Gemini is going to become the Google of the world, and I'm going to bet that probably Microsoft Copilot is going to come in number 2. They're going to be the alternative because, again, Microsoft is pretty big. I have a feeling that ChatGPT and Claude one day are eventually either going to go under or get bought out, subsumed by one of the bigger players, just based on economics. And this was a big discussion that was happening at the AI Expo, is when you're really getting into this, it's good if you can pick the winner, pick VHS, don't pick Betamax. Anyway, interesting topic. No easy answers to any of this, but it's just something to think about. When has Google ever lost?
I don't know that. I thought that was a rhetorical question.
It is a rhetorical question, honestly. It's just, I don't know. I have no good answers, but this is Mark's gut feeling. Don't bank on it because I lose a lot. Anyway, with that, so we're going to bring this episode to a close at our next segment with our 5 action steps going forward. And then we're going to make you an offer about our AI checklist. And then don't forget, this is a 2-part series, so you're going to come back for the other part next week.
This is Marc Whitehead, lawyer, entrepreneur, and business coach. Thanks for listening to the Successful Barrister podcast. If we've stirred your juices, hit me up with an email at marc@marcwhitehead.com. Remember, Marc is spelled with a C. And get on the Successful Barrister newsletter mailing list. Even better, let's set up a call. I'd love to talk to you about working together, talk shop, or just shooting the breeze.
All right, Diana, we're back here with our 5 action steps going forward. And I find this topic, almost like these are like what I think you probably should be doing, but we could be totally dead ass wrong.
No.
So
nothing like building our own credibility.
I know, it's
Mark.
nothing like building our own credibility. The reality is like nobody know what we know today is best practice could easily be out of date in 3 months. Could easily be out of date. I would fully expect them to be out of date in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So anyway, all of this comes with this is an evolving subject, but you might as well ride the wave and have fun with it. So this is how we're going to do it. So my first action step, what firms should do now, but maybe not always. Well, this one's easy. Audit your third-party footprint. So look at Super Lawyers, Best Lawyers, Justia, Avo, Yelp. I'm sure there are others. where you're listed, and they may vary by geography as well. I know yellowpages.com is big in certain geographic areas. Other geographic areas, it's not really a thing. Kind of just depends. But make sure you whatever you are on, that your profiles are completely up to date. And I would start with this premise: rewrite your bio on your website to be AI friendly. And then once you get that done, just rinse and repeat on all of these other spots. But make sure you have your message out and is consistent about, throughout all of these third-party platforms out there.
So my takeaway, Mark, I liked what you said about standardizing your firm's identity everywhere. So making sure that your firm name, attorney profiles, you mentioned practice descriptions, addresses, phone numbers. So that's all consistent across the web. I thought about how trade names have become important. So for example, our friend Craig Goldenfarb, I'm sure at some point he was probably Craig Goldenfarb PC or Craig Goldenfarb PLLC or something.
Yeah.
That was the name of his law firm. But now everywhere he is Gold Law.
Which is
And
brilliant.
so-
He just shortened his name to from Goldenfarb to Gold. I can do that.
Gold Law.
I could be White Law.
I don't think that's
You
at
think
all
that's
beneficial.
a bad idea
Very
to be White
horrible
Law?
idea.
You think that?
It would be so
sounds
bad,
weird?
Mark. So I think
Let's try it.
I think that we should convince. So I think that you should just make sure that if you do utilize a trade name, that especially on the websites we've mentioned, whether that's Super Lawyers, Yelp, all of them, just make sure that you're consistent across the board with the name.
Okay. I have the third one on my list here is leverage recognition you've already earned. Now, I will say this is timeless advice. This probably will go well beyond the next 3 to 6 months that we've been talking about. Whatever you've done, sing it to the high hills. Julie Andrews and Sound of Music, just running through the Alps singing. Run through the Alps singing your praises everywhere you can. Just don't make yourself an ass, okay, when you're doing it. But your awards, your distinctions, your peer listings, make sure you, again, list them consistently across all platforms. Think real hard. When I rewrote my bio, I had forgotten half the stuff that I had done in my life. I really had, and a lot of it I just kind of thought was irrelevant, no big deal. But we're not talking about us. We're talking about impressing, the search engine bots who are trying to impress your potential client. So the message is not about me. It's about what they think is important. I think Super Lawyers is stupid. They don't think that. They don't know any different. So, it's not what you think, it's what everybody else thinks. So think long and hard. I mean, it took me a long time. I've been doing this 33 years. I've forgotten half the crap I've done. So anyway, look at what you've done. Be creative, obviously be truthful, but sing your praises far and wide.
My takeaway number 4, Mark, would be to stop over marketing on your website. And I guess by that, I would mean to, again, back to what you were saying about changing the language that you use, your profile, just switching from, vague words like we're the best to being very clear in the ways that the AI will pick up. So as looking for depth and comprehensiveness in their data, and so simply stating we're the best is not going to get picked up by AI, and so AI rewards explanation. So go back and rewrite some of your content, especially some of your pages that you want to get picked up by AI.
Right. Don't be so self-serving. Let other people be self-serving for you. Hence the third-party vendors, the third-party platforms. My fifth, and this is an interesting one, decide what you're not doing yet. What are you not yet doing that you need to be doing? But be careful to avoid chasing the shiny object, okay? Be very intentional about this. Hence, my offer, which is we have created a checklist of the best AI search practices that we have come up with. I tell you that we ripped most of this up off of Nalini and from Chris Dreyer, but there are a few other sources that we drew from as well. So full credit to them. We're just smart enough to know how to aggregate stuff and put it together in a shiny little object. So I put together our AI checklist, which I am offering to all of our listeners. All you have to do is send me an email, and I'll be happy to send it to you. Marc@marcwhitehead.com. Remember, Marc is spelled with a C. I will tell you that just checklist, we probably have done about 40% of what is on the list. We have a long way to go, but we're going there. It may be more than 40%. I may not be giving us enough credit, but we are certainly not there yet, but we're working on it. I will tell you right now, as we sit here, I checked yesterday, and you type in best disability lawyer in Houston, Texas, and the AI search puts us in the top 3. Me and my buddy Victor McCrease are, fighting it out 1 and 2, and then another friend of mine is in 3rd place, and that one kind of has fluctuates. But so right now we're okay.
Did you ask ChatGPT?
I asked Google, and Google gave me an AI overview because I
know. But did you also ask ChatGPT?
I have also asked ChatGPT, and I was also in the top 3. The last time I looked, it has been about a month. I will say that my SEO vendor. Now, this is the other tip out there. Your SEO vendor should be doing a lot of this for you, and you need to retitle their services, to SEO/AI vendor, because these are the people who, are supposed to be making you look good on the interweb thingy. So they need to be making you look good on the AI thingy. So we've been talking to our SEO provider, and we've been very explicit that we expect certain AI services from you, and they have agreed to it. So they know it. They, a lot of the SEO vendors are worried, like maybe we're becoming obsolete. Maybe nobody needs us anymore. So they're starting to pivot into the generative search, optimization. That's what they call it, generative search optimization. So make sure that your provider is providing you dual services at this point. And so far, they haven't asked for any extra money, and I haven't offered them any extra money for it. So they're building it into our services. Anyway, that would be my best piece of advice right there. I'm switching. That's number 5. We're scrap the other one. We're just going with that for number 5. So anyway, Diana, so now that we understand what AI search means, the next question is, what should law firms actually do? And that is going to be the topic of our next episode. We're going to go over in depth the actual action items that you should do to position yourself for AI search. All right? Any last words? I know you love this topic.
I do. I learned a lot, Mark, and learned you're not making up the word schema. So thank you so much for that.
I could have made up that word. You don't know that I didn't. I just might have been the first to make it up, and then somebody else adopted it.
You should have TM'd that.
I should have TM'd that.
Because it's all over the interwebby.
I know. All right. With that, we are going to thank everybody for listening to the Successful Barrister podcast, where legal legends are made. I'm Mark.
And I'm Diana.
And together we're the dynamic duo of law. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, remember to rate and review us and share it with your fellow overworked lawyers. Make sure that you hit the send button. Let's get our listenership up. And to find more episodes and resources, visit us at successfulbarrister.com or hit me up at marc@marcwhitehead.com. Marc is spelled with a C, especially if you want our AI checklist. And it is free. For now, I'm going to TM it and then start selling it for hundreds of thousands of dollars. But for right now, it's free, so get your free copy. Don't forget our sponsor, Marc Whitehead Associates, a national disability law firm at disabilitydenials.com. So until next time, let's build a practice, not a prison. Bye.
Bye.